Because the move starts at the turn 6-7 complex, but when you head down towards turn 9, we're seeing multiple lines because of the banking. We saw it at Zambon, we saw it in Saudi Arabia. People able to go inside, outside, do a switchback, and again, hopefully, this will set up what we're going to see later today. Ted, the track temperature down to 30 degrees. It's getting exciting here.
Never mind the track temperature, Karun, never mind the track temperature. To quote the late, great Murray Walker, down here on the grid, you can cut the tension with a cricket stop. Look into his eyes. Look into his eyes. That's the first time this year I've seen that man look worried. How could he not be worried? How could Max Verstappen not be worried? He's led the championship at one point, before the race at Silverstone, by 33 points. 33, 33. 33, there's a number, 33 points, and yet he comes in. He's equal on points with Hamilton. Let's have a look at Hamilton. How does he look after the sprint?
Scott Spencer. Scotty.
Hamilton is in the
We'll go there one. Guys, what's going on? I hope you're all good. Welcome to this. That's what I'm going to say.
Okay, guys, time to put your necks on the line.
Who's been in it?
Nico starts us off.
I don't know why, but I stick with Lewis. I think that medium tire is going to somehow give him a chance through the first pits.
I got 21. No, we had 24.
But of course, it's completely impossible to predict. Max for turn 1.
Yeah, you had 10, I had 7, he had 4. Sorry, I said 13, I can't count. Guys, what we're saying in the chat. This is going to be saucy. This is history in the making, by the way, guys. Just to let you know, as this is the second time this has ever happened in Formula 1. And it's 100 years? It's over 100 years now? No, I'm on about when did F1 start? That's what I'm trying to get at. Yeah, so it's like 71 years. 72nd season. Jesus Christ. 72 years, and it's the second time it's ever happened. So just to let you know, guys, this is like history in the making, because it could... And you've got to imagine the points hoard now, the difference is mad. So it's going to be interesting. Whoa, Bella. Well, yeah. All I hear in the chat is Bella crying. You are a fraud. No. The biggest shag. Oh yeah. Aqua, what's up, man? Can you do a watch along of the darts? 190. I've not really been keeping up to the darts, Jonathan, so I wouldn't know much about it. I mean, yeah, Jonathan. Do you want to put that in the chat and let him know that you just said that? No.
The book of Formula 1. It has no genre.
Yeah.
It is a thriller.
Yeah, it's 5 past, isn't it?
A horror.
I remember that crash.
Adventure. At the turn of every page.
Do you mean, Jonathan, you want to scrap?
Shocking twist in the tale.
Is that Glock? Is that Glock?
Is that Glock? It's Glock.
Oh my goodness me!
And the latest chapter has eclipsed all imagination. Two protagonists. The warrior, the master. One vying to take the crown.
I know, Daniel, man.
The other on the cusp of legend.
I've been training my whole life for this one.
In support, two confidants. Defending or hailing.
That was epic.
Cajoling.
Keep turning that screw.
We'd never give up. This is still on.
A battle. Years in the making.
You were born in 97? Jeez.
In this fight, no quarter has been given.
Verstappen is out of the race.
No challenge unmatched.
This time around, both out.
Pressure has grown.
Christian is a bit of a windbag who wants to be on camera.
Tension has risen.
I was told so, I keep my mouth shut.
The
The argument. It's quality. Oh, mate, this could either. Anything could happen here, guys. Anything.
The plot twist will continue.
It's false wide by Verstappen.
And watch.
Down to the last paragraph.
Oh, they touched.
The last sentence.
We're just watching the thing they're talking about, like the different what's been going on. Mate, I'm shitting myself because I don't want it to turn into. I don't want it to go down. I don't want them to kill each other. I want a proper race. We're about to do the thing now. The music. What's that, Bella? I thought my one was better. Dun dun dun. What do you mean? Want to scrap? History awaits. And it's like that, away we go. Oh, this is extra. You think Max will bottle it, Jonathan? I no way, Michael. Yeah, I saw that, Scott. Yeah, we're just finished now.
So as the sands of time run down
There you
to the
go.
end of
The
this
sound,
round,
yeah, you're literally around the same as me. I can just hear
we
it.
come to chapter 22 and the chance for Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton
Here we go, guys.
of their own story. Each
History
have
in the
the
making.
championship trophy. Both have the opportunity
Yeah.
to realize
Wait, what?
their
Yeah, you're ahead of me slightly then.
This is the final chapter. The
Yeah, you're ahead of me.
battle that has captured everyone's attention and emotions. What we don't know is how this blockbuster ends. It's winner takes all. Welcome
Wait, you're on
to
Sky
the
Go?
Arena circuit. Scores level. 58 laps ahead of us before the checkered flag waves goodbye.
It's still ahead of me.
And it's a season finale on a modified circuit. This is the hairpin at turn 5. The chicane before it is long gone. We've got banking now at turn 9, where once upon a time we had opportunities to overtake into a chicane. And we've got a much faster end to this circuit as well.
Showing me the tyres, you're ahead, Aqua.
But you're about 120 miles an hour through turns 12, 13 and 14, where we've already seen cars brush with a wall and bang against them in the case of Kimi Raikkonen on Friday practice. Pirelli have brought with them for this final round these
Show me the tyres now.
tyres in their range. It is the C5, the C4 and the C3.
If they both crash out, then Verstappen wins.
Pair of Max Verstappen or Sergio Perez has run it so far this weekend. Lewis starts on the medium tyre, Max starts on the softs.
It's gonna be mad.
Here's the grid then for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Max Verstappen on pole for a second year in a row here. Lewis Hamilton alongside him, an 11th front row start in Abu Dhabi. Lando Norris, his best qualifying since pole in Russia, starts third, ahead of Sergio Perez, equaling his best qualifying here in fourth. Carlos Sainz will start fifth, his best ever start here. Valtteri Bottas down in sixth on his final start for Mercedes. It's Charles
Leclerc and Tsunoda.
alongside Yuki Tsunoda in eighth, and Esteban
Ocon and Ricciardo.
alongside Daniel Ricciardo, who sneaked into the top 10. 11th goes to Fernando
Alonso will be on a dub there because of him being on brand new tyres.
Pierre Gasly company. Lance Stroll in his 100th start for Aston
Stroll,
Martin.
shit.
On the grid, ahead of Antonio Giovinazzi, who waves goodbye to Formula One. Sebastian Vettel starts 15th ahead of Nicholas Latifi and 16th. Latifi out-qualifying his Williams teammate George Russell.
What?
On his
Is that sorry?
final appearance for Williams before he goes to Mercedes.
He's got COVID.
Final start in Formula One is 18th. Mick Schumacher, all on his own in 19th.
Defo.
Not racing after testing positive for
100%, Scott.
Best wishes to him.
Well, it depends. The cars are all different next year, so anyone could be anyone.
How nervous you are, but I'm as excited as I am tense.
I'm very excited. Nervous I'm not. Something is going to happen in the next 58 laps. We're just not quite sure what. Will it be
No.
Lewis Hamilton's record-breaking 8 or Sergio Perez sitting there? He's watching out forward to his teammate Max Verstappen. desperately looking for his first world title.
There we
and
go.
for me, whoever wins this world championship, it's an amazing world championship, will fully deserve it. And I can't wait. And that's why we love live sport, Crofty.
It certainly is. 369.5 points. You go
Yo, how far have they pushed his car back?
Contender, and that's Valtteri Bottas. These two have taken their
It's fine, Aqua.
to a new level. And here are the starting tyres. Let's go from
Alonso and Gasly have gone hards.
Ooh. Gasly and Alonso starting on the hards. It's soft. Then for Ricciardo and Ocon, medium Tsunoda. Bottas on the medium. Leclerc on the
It's about
soft.
to start.
Sainz, Perez, Norris on the soft. But
No.
crucially, Hamilton on the medium.
You're ahead of me.
Verstappen on the soft as we get underway for the formation lap.
Oh, them two are gone already.
Strategies for the two that can win the title.
Yes, I think Red Bull would give everything.
Hello?
Tyres right
You
now,
alright?
because,
Yeah?
Of course, they weren't in play of setting pole position. They were to get you through to the top 10 shootout. Then you locked into them for the race. We saw Max snatch that front
Where's that
tyre,
gone?
going for a second lap, and basically he couldn't use that set anymore.
God,
Forced to
stop
qualify
falling over.
into the top 10
How
shootout.
long medium's able to last? They normally tell us partway through. They reckon 19 to 26 laps, Ludders. Six- 60? Around 60.
Are much more for the long run, but you know, a safety car or anything like that could turn the entire thing on its head, and that, of course, would play into to Red Bull's hands at that point. So we saw some games being played, didn't we, by Lewis Hamilton and gang. They didn't want to get too early to the grid. They hung Max out front a little bit, didn't they, on one of the three restarts. But I think with Max's soft tyres, Lewis will be keen to get as much temperature into his more durable but harder.
Just had my headset off at the start of this.
He can. So I don't think
Matt.
we'll see too much of that going on. And
Are we ready?
Max has stretched the pack a little bit as well, but we saw them pull the cars back so they can spin their wheels away a little bit. They're not allowed to go above 50 miles an hour until they pass pole position, actually. You're not allowed to go faster than the pit lane limiter, so but you can spin the wheels a little bit and try and lay a bit of extra rubber down on your grid slot, get a feel for the clutch point, and we know that Max will then park right at the front of his pit box.
So there is the Drivers' Championship to be settled today. The Constructors' Championship also to be settled today. Mercedes, for a record-breaking 8th consecutive year as Constructors' Champions, needs 17 points no matter what Red Bull score. Max Verstappen needs to beat Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton needs to beat Max Verstappen. Unless Lewis Hamilton finishes 9th and Max 10th with the fastest lap, the championship would still go to that man's son. Racing dad, Jos Verstappen. 15 drivers from Holland have entered the Formula One World Championship. We've never had a Dutch world champion. For the last 13 years, the champion has either been British or it has been German. Kimi Räikkönen, the last non-Brit or German to win the championship, and all eyes now focused on the grid. The talking eventually has to stop. The wheels start to rotate, and then it is game on.
Yeah, they do some burnouts to the grid to get some rare tyre temperature. And obviously they've been working the brakes and moving the car around, anything to generate their heating engineers, basically. There's certain bits need to stay cool and other bits need to be warming up and in the right temperature range. 19 cars on the grid then. Nikita Mazepin tested positive for COVID-19. So that is why at the back there, Kimi Räikkönen in his final and 349th Grand Prix.
Here we go.
We've been waiting for this all season long. The finale, the title decider, under the lights here in Abu Dhabi.
Go!
Down away we go, and Hamilton gets a decent
Hamilton's had a good start as well. No way.
There's a bit of jockeying going on between Tsunoda and Ricciardo. Hamilton leads into the
No way.
goes wide. Sergio Perez slips through into third place. There comes Carlos Sainz, but it's Hamilton out in front. The medium tyre.
I don't believe that.
His teammate Valtteri Bottas challenges the Ferrari.
I was not expecting that at all.
Hamilton leads, Bottas leads Perez, then leads Norris, then the two Ferraris of Sainz and Leclerc. It is a dream start for Lewis Hamilton.
Yes, the only
Down the straight.
Red Bull is at least Perez is up there, but for the second consecutive weekend, the Red Bull did not get off the line very well.
It's three abreast going into the turn 9 hairpin. Oh, and there, Max Verstappen.
Whoa.
Hamilton almost coming together. Hamilton has to go off the track. The Dutch fans roaring in the
Jesus
background.
Christ.
Lewis Hamilton in the lead, but will he have to give out the place?
Yes, of course he will.
place back right now.
What Max should do is back up a little bit and make sure Perez is right on his gearbox for when Lewis inevitably has to give that place back. Verstappen had to
Yeah,
do
he's
that
got to.
lunge.
So behind then, the lunge was on with Norris and Sainz and Leclerc. Sainz in 4th, Norris 5th, Leclerc in 6th, out in front. Hamilton still has the lead from Max Verstappen, from Sergio Perez. And at the end of lap 1, Hamilton's advantage over Verstappen is 1.1 seconds.
Right, I'll put my headset back in. Oh dear.
Mercedes then tactic here is okay. You haven't.
He's got no choice. He's going to have to.
So the stewards will be looking at that.
I agree with what the commentators are saying though. Stay back by Perez.
The gap that you had before you went off. Well, they were side by side when they went off.
We did wonder whether the stewards would need to get involved this weekend.
Didn't take long.
Courtesy of that moment down at turn 7, surely they need to get involved to make a decision one way or another. But it's Hamilton out in
Jesus.
front. Will he have to give the place back, or will he keep the lead?
I think that's clear cut for me anyway. But we're talking team play here with Red Bull 2nd and 3rd. Valtteri Bottas has now dropped down to 8th place.
That engine is not running
An
well.
early battle, wasn't he, with Yuki Tsunoda? Tsunoda's got ahead of him. Bottas not in play to help his teammate, who's going to have to try and win this the hard way. Now this the run down. Verstappen a long way back. Lunges
Yeah,
into
but
the
he's
effective
ahead.
touch, and Hamilton has to take to the escape road. Did Verstappen lunge
Mad
correctly
Aquas.
and fairly, or the stewards rule in Verstappen's favour there, or was that an opportunist move that was never, ever going to be on? Will they decide that way?
It was late, but the door was open and Max stayed on the racetrack.
He's got a point.
No investigation
Oh.
necessary, say the stewards. Derek Warwick, former Grand Prix racer, Gary Connolly, very experienced steward, Felix Holter, completing that particular trio. They've got bags of experience in the stewards.
Hamilton's won this now then.
No investigation necessary. Well, it's like Brazil. Turn 4, there was no investigation necessary that day either.
That's the card they played, and so we're back as we were then, 1.4 seconds behind Max Verstappen. Red Bull, I think, will be on the blower to race control to question that one. But that's, with all of the information they've got available to them, what they see, the different camera angles, other...
There we go.
Go ahead, Jonathan. So, I've just seen it again. Max is ahead at the apex.
Jonathan.
Stays on the track.
Jonathan, he's forced him out there. That's why we asked him to give back
And Lewis
all of
has
the
left
advantage.
the track. And, you told him to give back all the advantage.
All the advantage was already given back prior to the first lap ending.
I'm not sure we agree, but understood.
No problems. So in the eyes of the stewards then, Lewis Hamilton slowed down enough to give back some of the extra meters that he gained when he went off the track.
Don't know about
that. was
that.
fair. There's race director Michael Massey. That was fair in their opinion. 1.5 seconds now the gap.
Well, I call these things as I see them. Doesn't seem to matter whatever you say. One of the teams is unhappy with you, but I don't see that the gap was the same.
So just get your head down. No investigation on the shortcuts or the advantage that he's gained in terms of gaps. So let's just get on with this on the track.
That is incredible. What are they doing here? Because they were side by side when the incident happened, and even into the braking zone. So I don't think the gap was ever given back. But that's what the stewards have decided. They're the referees, and I think that's wise advice there to young Max Verstappen.
I don't know how long the softs are going to last.
Get angry, get even, get on. Just focus on the race ahead now.
Well, we wondered, didn't we? Was it going to be turn 1 where Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton came together?
Yeah.
We lasted 6 corners.
He's quicker on the mediums.
Controversial moment of this race, and possibly not the last either, as Hamilton takes to the runoff area, stays ahead of Verstappen. The stewards say no investigation, no penalty to be applied. Now we can get back on
Mercedes
the
have
race.
never been good in traffic, have they? And he's got a slower engine.
Out of play, but look at that, the Red Bull of Verstappen just barely moved initially, did it? It bogged down on him, and there is then Perez taking 3rd place as Lando Norris goes wide, comes back in, doesn't gain any advantage, and you can see Bottas falling behind the Ferrari as well.
Got squeezed a bit, didn't they?
Look at that.
Really low revs there for Lewis in the Mercedes, and just took off 1/10 of a second better on the reaction time. Just about finds enough grip, And look at that lovely space in front of him. So I'm going to call it the same way.
He was ahead though, and Lewis did leave him the space.
Got into the apex. He stayed within the white lines of the racetrack. And look at the gap Lewis has pulled out from there. So I'll stand by that, but that's not what the stewards think.
This is the view from Lewis Hamilton's cockpit as he sees Max Verstappen coming at him at a rate of knots. But it is very much like Brazil. There was no
I don't. Nathan. Rapatic, what's up, man? How's it going? I think it's flying.
Decided that it was a fair move. What they've decided here, and once again, it was a fair move from Verstappen. Hamilton gave enough time back, so it was a honours even at the end of this skirmish.
I'm thinking what the points are though from Red Bull to Mercedes. I don't know. It doesn't matter. No, it doesn't matter. They said that Mercedes only need to win to get 17 points. Cheers, Robotic. Yeah. Vettel's got ahead of Stroll. You love to see it. Stroll shit.
Very good evening to
Mad,
you.
isn't it?
Crofty, I didn't think it was going to get this controversial this early. Hello, Martin. Hello, everyone. I didn't know, but looking down from where I am in the pit lane across to the Red Bull pit wall,
Last.
might as well have steam coming out of his ears. I understand he's been on the radio speaking directly to the race director, Michael Massey, to put his point of view. Maybe we'll hear from him in a second of what he had to say, but this is a result of Brazil with the FIA not clamping down on these things. When you start to leave interpretation into it rather than hard and fast rule, you get situations,
Charles Leclerc.
that would have been clear-cut in the past decisions.
On board with Charles Leclerc, is currently running 6th, but while we watch from the cockpit of the Ferrari, let's head down to the Red Bull pit wall. Christian Horner is with us. Christian, please, your reaction to the no action by the stewards.
The thing is though, Verstappen's got to pit first.
Which we failed to see yet. So, as you can imagine, we're not best pleased.
Is this what goes around comes around, Christian, with turn 4 Brazil and into some first corners in earlier races?
No, it's a total lack of consistency. So, we're disappointed with it, but focus on the race now, and we've got to do it the hard way.
Christian, there will be a lot of people watching Formula One for the first time ever. When they're presented with a no action for one incident, no action for another, they'll find it hard to believe.
Oh, Jesus. Stroll almost pushed him off the track.
Well, the race director made it very clear before the race that you had to stay within the white lines. Max did that. Lewis gained an advantage by going off track. He didn't concede it. He didn't give anything back, so that was our position. But anyway, we're focused on the race, and still a long way to go.
Christian, thanks ever so much for joining us. We appreciate your instant reaction there. That's what we were talking to Christian. We saw Sebastian Vettel and Lance Stroll having a race all by themselves. 14th for Vettel, 15th for Stroll.
Go ahead. Michael, we still don't understand it. There was a hard, aggressive pass by Max, but Max stayed fully on the track and he was ahead at the apex. He did everything right, stayed on the track.
It's alright, Zareth.
The second car has to back out.
Jonathan, the stewards have reviewed it and determined that all of the lasting advantage was gained, and that Max forced that position there. So they've said that they have reviewed it but are not investigating it.
Meanwhile, Lewis Hamilton now 2 seconds out in front from Perez, Sainz, Norris, Leclerc, Tsunoda, Bottas, Ocon and Ricciardo. We've got 3
God damn it, Jonathan.
With us on Sky Sports F1 this weekend, Damon Hill, Jenson Button and Nico Rosberg. Nico, what's the champion's view?
Oh my goodness, so difficult. I think it's okay what they've done. Max was a little bit too lungy and too aggressive, forcing Lewis out too strongly. Even though he had the right to the corner there because he was massively ahead, but still.
Rosberg does have a point.
I would also say though that Lewis didn't give back everything that he gained. So there's it's tough, but I think it's okay like this.
Yeah, I tend to agree with what Nico said. I think when you look at it back, you have to say that Lewis had to basically move out of the way because otherwise he's going to collide with Max, who made a very
pass his lap again for Hamilton.
No room for Lewis.
I think it should be Zareth.
Accommodation. He had to leave the track, but I have to say I am surprised they didn't say give the place back.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah, totally. I actually agree with you, David. It was a very late lunge, but it was always going to happen. Lewis knew he was coming, and he pushed Lewis.
I'm surprised at that, Zareth.
I guess, but he stayed on the track, and I'm struggling to understand the regulations right now because obviously in Brazil there was no penalty, but they both drove off of the circuit, whereas Max stayed on the track this time.
Gentlemen, thanks ever so much. I think Jos Verstappen's also struggling to come to terms with this. He's just walked out the back of the Red Bull garage as Hamilton continues then on lap 8 in the lead of this race. We've had a big controversial moment, and we'll be talking about this, I'm sure.
The control.
Let's park that for now. What's interesting here is Lewis Hamilton actually has a little bit more pace as well, despite Verstappen being on the softer tyre. We thought they might be a little bit faster for half a dozen, 10 laps or so. But at the moment, that doesn't seem to be the case, unless Max is just trying to eke them out, because Sergio Perez is hanging on to them as well. 5 seconds covers the top 3, and now the strategists for both teams will be thinking long and hard. And how it's about 20
Tsunoda has a chance of finishing 4th here.
Pit stop, but right now, anybody who stopped, for example, then put them down in 11th place, so they've got to get a lot further into this race yet, so they can think about pitting.
Well, this is Verstappen's double problem here, is that if he is having to pit earlier than Hamilton because his tyres won't go as long into the race, he's going to put himself into traffic if he pits in the next 4 or 5 laps. They don't want to be doing that because it'll hold up his pace.
Struggling a little bit.
That's not what they want to hear on the pit wall at Red Bull. Rear's starting
They always do that though. Like,
those slower corners might lessen his pace down the straight.
I thought the tyres would survive a little bit longer now because there's less tracks, less corners. I've got to say. Yeah, I know.
You can't quite get full traction until a good way out of the corners of the
Mate, he could finish well here. He's on mediums.
They have no option but to
Yeah, Max is struggling.
now, they've got to clear the pack before they can consider fixing. Otherwise, they're just being so much traffic. But they're lapping.
It's not anarchy. Ignore it. It's an old thingy. It gets used and abused now. They need to pull out another, I'd say, 5 to 10 seconds.
4 seconds to get Verstappen in and try and come up with a new solution.
Yeah, the gap that is appearing that I'm sure they'd like to fit into is just behind Sergio Perez and just in front of Carlos Sainz, who's become something of the head of a train of cars. These are the rear tyres for Max Verstappen.
They don't look terrible.
Say they've got a performance life of about 15 laps from the start of this race on heavy fuel and full tanks of fuel. I've seen angrier looking tyres, but I've seen shinier looking tyres too.
Yeah, it's the surface temperature, isn't it? So, you know, we have to accept that Max made that small error in qualifying. He made a big error last weekend. It cost him that pole there. But it was such a crazy race in Saudi Arabia. I'm not sure in the end it made any difference who was on pole at the first of the 3 starts. But and that's what's forced him into putting these tyres on and put Red Bull on the back. Now they've got Perez there. It's like a game of chess, isn't it? They've got Perez there.
It's nearly 3 seconds now, the gap chat.
And affect when Mercedes can hit Hamilton. But of course, if Hamilton comes out with fresher tyres, Perez will be fairly easy target.
Assuming you can get them warmed up straight away, but what is clear, there is the length of that back straight, which is well over a kilometre long, in between Max Verstappen and Carlos Sainz, 2nd and 4th in this race. Running behind Sainz is former McLaren teammate Lando Norris, Charles Leclerc running in 6th at the moment, Yuki Tsunoda having a decent race running in 7th, Valtteri Bottas, and not for the first time this season, struggling to get past the Alpha Tauri of Yuki Tsunoda. He's been rather held up back there. The wind has picked up just a little bit here.
He's flying.
A stiff breeze that you
absolutely
can see
flying
from the top of the viewing tower. Esteban Ocon runs in 9th, Daniel Ricciardo 10th, and Hamilton starting to stretch the pace out in front.
3.5 seconds
now.
now.
Championship point for anybody who finishes in the top 10 with the
Hamilton's flying.
That fastest lap will get much faster yet because they're burning down their 100 plus kilos of fuel. Have a much lighter car when they put tyres on.
There's the starts for Max Verstappen. 10th of a second, better reaction time for Lewis Hamilton. There he goes, off into the distance. Was it just the reaction time that cost Verstappen?
Just didn't get away, did it?
This the moment then, well, it didn't quite touch. Hamilton was trying to turn in, realised that if he turned in even more to the left, contact would be made. Verstappen has stayed within the white lines, but
I'm not changing my mind on that.
I still think Lewis should have give up. He would have been able to get ahead. It's still behind him.
White lines, and a car that was side by side with him is heading off down the road.
The trouble is, the rules say it's leaving the track and gaining
an
an
advantage
is what gets you into trouble with the stewards.
Lewis, just keep it up, just keep the pressure on.
Now, Hamilton
4
had the
seconds now.
advantage because he was out in front. Did he give back all the advantage he gained by going off the track? That's the debate here. And if Red Bull do
Hamilton's nearly 20. Hamilton's 20 seconds ahead of everyone from fourth downwards. That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't think there's any point in them even thinking about that. But this pace from Lewis is now a second a lap faster than Verstappen. He's waltzing off into the distance anyway, such that that would be probably irrelevant in days like this in terms
the
of
softs are going off
on the first lap. And these are tremendously fast laps from Lewis. Look at that, 4.6 seconds. So what that means, Crofty, is that they've got, with that kind of gap, whatever Red Bull do with Verstappen, Mercedes can wait another lap.
Yeah.
Wait another lap. They've got there'll be no undercut by somebody going out on fresher tyres and getting ahead of you because.
And the thing is that Max still can't pit because he'll get stuck in traffic.
If you like, if he can get himself towards 10 seconds ahead, they can then just casually react to whatever Red Bull do.
He'll be stuck in that kerfuffle of traffic, and he wouldn't want to do that.
Looking a little bit despondent.
Red tyres are really struggling.
And Verstappen
Understood.
having to work very hard indeed to try and keep pace with Lewis Hamilton. Scores a level going into this race. As it stands at the moment, Lewis Hamilton would be an 8th world champion in Formula One, an 8-time world champion. Verstappen's bid for a first world title crown is being thwarted, but there is a long, long way to go. We're only starting lap 13. Long way to go under the lights here in Abu Dhabi tonight, as Verstappen makes his way around turn 1.
Well, we thought these would go probably 20 laps, didn't we, before they were crying too much. They've obviously done 3 in qualifying.
Alright, Spencer.
So sort of 15, 16 laps before I'm surprised that Max is struggling so much, so quickly with them.
100% Joe back. 100% chilling.
Having to give away. It's so frustrating for Red Bull. They didn't even need to be doing that lap that he was on when he locked the front left tyre.
Another second.
Yeah, it's forced a change in strategy and it forced them onto the back foot a little bit. Ted, down to you.
Max Verstappen not the only one who's struggling with his soft tyres. Lando Norris has been on the radio saying they're okay, they're all right, but he's struggling to keep pace with Carlos Sainz ahead of him. Now dropped to 3 seconds behind the Ferrari of Sainz as Lando.
Mate,
Alonso's been on the radio saying
he's losing because softs have gone off.
His tyres, he's on front of his car, he's on the hard tyres. Maybe they're not up to temperature, but we'll have to follow that one to see what's going on with Fernando. He's P11 at the moment.
And I wonder if George Russell's struggling too, down in 18th at the moment.
We keep losing gears. This might continue to happen.
Oh
That's
dear.
not what you want to hear when you're trying to keep the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc at bay.
Oh, the boxing.
Move into the pit lane, down over
hard tyres.
Is Max Verstappen coming in? Yes, he is. Lap 14 of 58, and Max Verstappen about to make what should be his one and only pit stop of this race. The hard tyre goes on, and he'll come out, hopefully, for Red Bull, if they've got their strategy right, ahead of Carlos Sainz. Perez slips through.
Won't be ahead of Sainz. He'll be behind Sainz, but he might be ahead of everyone else.
He's not going to come out ahead of Carlos Sainz. Where is Max Verstappen going to come out onto this track? He goes underneath.
That's close. Oh no, that's bad. That's bad.
Onto the track he goes now. He is ahead of one Ferrari.
Oh, Charles Leclerc's gone off.
And maybe a bit distracted by Verstappen coming onto the track. Leclerc going very, very wide.
Oh, his tyres are gone. Leclerc's gone. Them tyres have gone. He'll have to.
He could stay ahead of that Ferrari and easily passes Lando Norris now to move himself back up into 4th. Meanwhile, Yuki Tsunoda and Charles Leclerc are having their particular battle. Tsunoda staying ahead, but only just.
So the pit exit here, the weird pit exit underneath.
So box.
Yeah, that was going to happen.
Talking about they can just react and copy whatever Red Bull do as Leclerc comes back underneath. Yuki Tsunoda, but the pit exit feeds straight into the outside of turn 3, and that is the problem there.
They'll use Perez now, Joe.
Will stay out and will go on to take the lead of this race. Neat stop by the Mercedes crew. 2.4 seconds stationary time for Lewis Hamilton. Has to trundle down the pit lane at 80 kilometres an hour.
Is it miles ahead of him? Miles ahead of him.
Because that tunnel is very, very tight indeed. He disappears out of our view temporarily and will come onto a racetrack, and the wide open spaces of this racetrack is to be ahead of Carlos Sainz in the Ferrari. Verstappen's made his pit stop, he's fourth. Hamilton's made his pit stop, he's second. And if you're a Sky Q or a Sky Glass customer and you're just joining us this afternoon, well, if you press your red button, you can watch the highlights alongside the live action. And this is Charles Leclerc as Max Verstappen comes out of the pits.
What the?
Was he distracted? Was it something to do with the car?
He got a stopper on. What about he turned in to 3 and had to counter steer into a massive slide. Remember, he's got some overheated soft compound tyres on there as well, and it was quite the save for Leclerc there. But yeah,
I don't know.
Maybe he was a bit urgent as well, trying to get past, hoping to get past the Red Bull exiting the pit lane. But I don't know. I kind of feel game back on now. To me,
well.
Hamilton's fitted. Plan A. Correction. Plan B. Plan B.
Yes, Plan A might have been to come into the pits. Plan B is to stay out.
F1 driver JC, 100%.
Sergio Perez now can help Max Verstappen if Hamilton catches him by not going quite as fast as Hamilton and just try and slow up the momentum for Lewis Hamilton. And as it stands at the moment, that momentum is gaining and gaining.
Yeah, will do.
Lap, and there's not much that stopped him so far.
Yeah, you have to assume they'll leave Perez out in the hope of slowing Hamilton down in a few laps' time. Verstappen's catching his old teammate Carlos Sainz in a hurry now. Verstappen in the low 1:28, so he needs to pass the Ferrari very quickly as the other Ferrari of Charles Leclerc makes its first pit stop.
As does Esteban Ocon too. Neat stop once again then for the Ferrari crew, although 3.4 seconds, lost a little bit of time there. I'm sure that the likes of Norris and Sainz.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same, bro, watching this, imagine.
Well.
Oh, yeah.
Ocon is out, Leclerc is out.
I wouldn't, I'm too tall to get into one anyhow, let alone too wide, JC, so no chance for me.
They lost a bit of time on the rear. I think it was the left rear. The tyre was a bit slow going on. Expecting to see whether Lando Norris reacts to the Ferrari.
He's got the DRS.
Behind him pitting. We'll see in a second. I've had the line from Mercedes, guys. Do you want to know their view on the lap 1 shenanigans?
Well, I think everybody wants to know that.
Yeah, because we're all kind of in any other race, in any other series, Lewis would have had to give the place back. They don't see it that way, understandably. They say it was a lunge from Max. He pushed Lewis off the track. I point out, well, they didn't touch, and they said they didn't touch, only because Lewis avoided the collision. He tried to turn in, couldn't take his line, and couldn't get round the corner, so had to go off and go across the road. That's the view from Mercedes. Take it as you will.
I used to call that motor racing.
So nothing wrong with it whatsoever.
So, yeah, you can look at that either any which way that suits you really. But Verstappen, oh, look at that.
Oh,
Max
nice little tank swapper.
The penultimate corner in the dirty air of the Ferrari, pushing hard. He said to me, actually, on Saturday night, that in race conditions, that penultimate turn 15 is a bit of a handful. It certainly was then. It was a handful of opposite lot.
It certainly was, and it's cost him maybe the chance to get past Carlos Sainz here. But he's got DRS, he's got an extra 9 miles an hour, so pace advantage, but he's too far back.
Yeah, I agree with
Daniel, it's already started.
Wrecked his chance of passing him down the first straight. He's got another chance now, but it looks a bit lumpy coming out of the 6-7 chicane there. And that's cost Verstappen a lap of passing the Ferrari.
Unless he can get past into turn 9, and he had a think about
hasn't.
it, didn't he? He thought the
He's losing it. He's lost all of his time. He's losing a shitload of time behind.
Stuck behind his former teammate at Toro Rosso, Carlos Sainz. Meanwhile, the Sky Race Control working out plans A, B, and possibly down to Z.
He's now 8 seconds behind.
Yes, good evening, Property Martin. I think plan B could be Checo holding up Lewis Hamilton. The gap initially was 11 seconds. It's now down to 6.5. Obviously, Lewis much quicker on new hard tyres. But I think that's why they switched, just to try and put a bit of pressure on Mercedes. What else can they do?
Well, they could also try a very aggressive two-stop strategy with Max Verstappen. Martin Brundle, would that be worth a try? They've got nothing to lose, surely.
Well, that's the phrase, isn't it? Nothing to lose. But I think that's a little bit later on. We've still got 40 laps to go. But
Let's see if Perez can hold Lewis Hamilton up, and for how long. I don't think it'll be long, personally.
Well, Perez, Hamilton chasing Perez, striking distance, powered by AWS, our battle forecast in 2 laps. Striking distance in 20 metres, Max Verstappen on Carlos Sainz. And into the chicane goes Max Verstappen on the fresher tyres. It's taken him a lap longer than he would have wanted, but Verstappen back up into the top 3, and now round about 8 seconds or so behind Lewis Hamilton, round about 12 seconds behind Lewis Hamilton. Sainz might try to force his weight, no he can't round the outside. He had DRS down that straight, but he's not going to get past
them tyres are off.
there. So Perez leads, and it stands at the moment 4.3 seconds from Lewis Hamilton, and then comes Max Verstappen after this move. Nicely executed, but to be fair, Sainz wasn't really fighting him into turn 6.
No, Carlos knows that's not his fight for this evening. He's up against Lando Norris in the McLaren and his teammate Charles Leclerc as well. And a very strong end to the season, isn't he? This would be his 14th consecutive points finish, wouldn't it? Or maybe 15th in for Carlos Sainz.
Carlos Sainz has been putting together the longest active scoring streak on the grid, 14 races, as you said, Martin, despite failing to reach Q3 in 6 of those races. He's got 19 points finishes in total, tied with Lando Norris and Lewis Hamilton as the most points finishes in this season. Meanwhile, Norris's McLaren teammate Daniel Ricciardo pits. Norris running down in 13th, but as we heard a little while ago, losing some gears from time to time. He's still running out on the track, but his pace not exactly brilliant at the moment.
Yeah, he's got 8 of them, 8 gears, but obviously what they mean is obviously he's pulling for some ships and they're not working sometimes.
Yeah, I know, it is.
Daniel Ricciardo exits that rather tortuous pit lane, although we've never had an incident in there, have we? I mean, coming here since 2009, we always was fearful of that pit lane. I think it's such a peril, such a challenge through there.
We'll be looking to hold up Lewis.
It's 1.4 seconds.
So the regulations say a Formula 1 car must not be any wider than 2 metres.
How wide do you think Sergio Perez can make that Red Bull at the moment?
Not wide enough.
Probably needs to quadruple the width, or mentally at least. How can he hold up Lewis Hamilton in this part of the track? Probably a little easier than down the back straights, and certainly towards the end of the lap. He could just slow down the momentum somewhat, but this is really playing the team game for Sergio Perez, who gave his teammate a brilliant tow to try and help him to pole in yesterday's qualifying. Sainz is now pitting, as you can see on the left-hand side of your screen. But
won't hit him.
with a good exit here, should be able to get past Perez.
Yeah, he'll have DRS. Perez will have saved his battery for attack down here, but he can weave around a bit. But in the end, the track is too wide. Lewis will be nervous of the back of the Red Bull, and Perez will have a lunge up the inside. Inevitably, Lewis cuts back underneath him, and that's exactly what we expected to happen. He will now drive past him, give him a cheery little wave.
No, he's got DRS, he's got DRS, he's got DRS.
Or was it? Perez with DRS is coming back into turn 9.
Let's go, Perez!
Making it into turn 9, he saved up a bit of energy from that battery store, and with a bit of DRS possibly as well.
Oh, why?
Past Lewis Hamilton, so he is going to hold him up just that little extra bit. This is a very
Perez, man, my guy. Mad.
As fair as he could be.
And parked on the apex of the slow corners, so plenty of battery and DRS. And wow, it breezed back past, didn't it?
Jeez.
Although the Red Bull, certainly with Max Verstappen, has had more pace than the Mercedes.
4 seconds now.
You can see flicks of paint coming up from the curbs as they make their way around the final 2 turns. Hamilton's going to try and get Perez into turn 1 and have to go the long way around the outside to do it, and can't quite.
3 seconds.
Playing the ultimate team game here.
Oh my God!
And this is really frustrating Lewis Hamilton. It's going to be hurting his tyres a little bit as well.
It's not really. Nah, Lewis, right? He's not done anything wrong.
For the final lap, Perez and Hamilton in the 134.
2 seconds.
The gap now coming down between Verstappen and Hamilton. You can see it.
Oh my God!
Hamilton needs to get past Perez here. He does get past Perez. He moves towards the inside. He's going to force Perez the long way round if Perez is going to try and retake that lead of the race. But on lap 21, Hamilton does get past Perez, but Perez has played the ultimate team game, and he's really brought his teammate back into play.
And he can give his teammate a bit of DRS for good measure. So great team play. That's the team play we talked about.
That's mad, that is.
Out of the way.
Hugh Bird, his race engineer, telling him to back off there and keep out of Max Verstappen.
1.3.
That was
Jesus Christ.
1.3 seconds, and all of a sudden,
It went from 8 seconds to 1.3.
Yeah, I said this feels game on.
Oh, Checo is a legend. Absolute animal.
This time last year,
Perez, I mean, I'm not going to lie, that's Perez driving them was unreal. Unbelievable. The way he was there. He made that car about 3 times wider than it should have been.
has got to try and keep the pace on Hamilton as Perez does come into the pits. And as it stands on this lap, Hamilton seems to be pulling away a little bit from Max Verstappen. In the practice sessions, don't forget, Mercedes ran on the hard compound tyre with full fuel. Red Bull were trying the soft compound tyre, and they haven't used these hard tyres throughout the weekend so far. This is when Hamilton got past Perez, but it didn't end there, did it?
I half expected Perez to come slithering up the inside there again, but Lewis very carefully pinned him to the outside of the track.
I think Lewis was looking to...
Yeah, Lewis will pull away.
Down the inside. This has been quite the duel, an unexpected duel between the Red Bull and the Mercedes, but not Verstappen and the Red Bull on that occasion.
Once again, we're looking at, so Max is a 10th quicker through the middle part of this lap. 10th down in the first part is not all in it, but we've seen such raw speed, haven't we, of this Mercedes-Benz in the hand of Hamilton, particularly for the last 3 Grand Prix, and it's now Max in the turbulent air behind him. But yeah, we're not even halfway through yet.
What else could happen on this night of all nights for Formula One here in the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix? Hamilton leads, still has...
Yeah, John Dre, you've missed it about like 40 minutes.
Trophy. Max Verstappen
2 seconds
is going to try
now.
and keep pace with it, but he's struggling to do that as it stands currently. Yuki Tsunoda runs in
That Merc is
third
quicker
place.
on the track.
He hasn't pitted yet. Neither has Valtteri Bottas. Sergio Perez has, currently in 5th place, and we can head down to 10.
Kimi Raikkonen has made his last scheduled stop in Formula One, Croppy. It was okay. Wasn't so quick, but it was all right. Maybe sort of summing up the latter stages of a career if you were cynical about it. But yeah, it was
Formula E.
Right, let's move to Lando Norris. And even though stopping early, he hasn't managed to close any time on Carlos Sainz. Actually, Carlos Sainz has extended his lead over Lando Norris. And now Lando Norris Sebastian Vettel, who hasn't pitted yet.
Yeah, we've got 60 and pro clubs, probably more card. Rotting on the weekend this time. Streams everywhere. Alright, these two are moving. Look at, like, we're on the 23rd lap already. These two are absolutely flying. They are different fucking breeds.
Next season, we say goodbye to the 13-inch tyre in Formula One. Tonight, it's 18 inches for next season. The barge board, as you said on the grid board, Martin, it's a goodbye to the barge board for 2022. First appeared back in 1993. Did the barge board?
Yeah, will do. That Mercedes is quicker, Scott.
To the man who sits on the pit wall at McLaren.
So we're going for the end. We're looking what we can do to help Max.
All after.
So consider plan A for now. Consider plan A for now. For sure.
Paul, after 26 seasons with McLaren, is
Tsunoda's finally pitted.
We won't see him on the pit wall for next season.
Yeah, I know.
Frozen tear on my cheek for we're losing Kimi Raikkonen.
Yeah.
The man who doesn't have adrenaline in his bloodstream, he has antifreeze.
These people have got a pit still.
The most Grand Prix starts by any driver. The man who, before this race, had raced 57,454 miles in Formula One. I think he's due to put his feet up, but I get the feeling he'll be racing something. That's very much in his veins.
What did he say to me in that interview on Saturday? I hate it. I hate everything. He's so over.
Jesus, anarchy.
He's so over anything else to do with being a Formula 1 driver.
Oh, it's it, and it happens.
He said with a smile.
Yeah, they are, James. Rapid, mate.
Into the pits. That's why you see him dropping down into 16th place.
Them pits are, that's normal in this, in here.
Valtteri Bottas doing a sterling job on those medium compound tyres. Fernando Alonso and Pierre Gasly, who are on the hard tyres to start off with, and also Nicholas Latifi and George Russell also still going quite long with their first stint.
As we said in Brazil, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Red Bull and Verstappen don't have an answer to Hamilton and Mercedes' raw speed.
The engine that's powering Lewis Hamilton made his debut, of course, in Brazil, where he took a penalty on the grid for the Grand Prix, took an even bigger penalty for the sprint race, started that last, and then started 10th for the Grand Prix, went on to win it. And Brazil was the start.
Backwards, man.
The last three, and for the 8th time in his career.
I don't think he will. I think he wants to
win 4 in a row. One of Red Bull and Max Verstappen.
I think he wants to.
Up their sleeves.
Yeah, I think he wants to trot.
Will Sergio Perez come back into the equation again?
Yeah, but nah, I think he'll want to race the new cars, mate.
20 seconds clear of the rest of the pack. Such is the form that they're both on, and what a privilege it's been to watch these two this year.
Yeah, we see drivers coming and going in Formula One. We can remember Lewis Hamilton's debut in Melbourne
back in the
all
day.
Those years ago in 2007, where he went round the outside of his experienced teammate, world champion Fernando Alonso. At the first corner, he has gone on to absolutely dominate in Formula One, and for the last 1,506 days, Lewis Hamilton has been world champion. But it was pretty clear from the outset that Verstappen would soon be challenging him. Didn't take long, Martin, for you to say that Verstappen will be a world champion one day. It might still be his day here in Abu Dhabi this evening, but he's going to have to produce a pretty
Mazzolini
drive from here.
Oh, Jay's not happy.
Back in 2016, I didn't think it would take until at least 2022 before it happened.
So this was on lap 20. Lewis Hamilton trying to get past Sergio Perez.
Oh, has Kimi had to retire, Jay?
With the Red Bull, he certainly didn't show it. He left enough space.
Michael, it's a bit dangerous. Can you wonder?
So far they're racing, so I don't hard racing.
I agree with Michael Massey, the race director there.
I fully expected Sergio to lunge back up the inside down into turn 6, but
meanwhile, as we watch what happened on lap 20 between Sergio Perez and Lewis Hamilton and how they came very, very close together, I think Kimi Raikkonen's Formula One career has come to an end, and he's stopped out on track. He's had a bit of a brush with the barriers, but he's managed to keep going again. There is Kimi Raikkonen, damage to the left-hand side of his front wing end plates. Well, can Kimi Raikkonen get back to the pits, change his front wing and make it to the checkered flag? Because in his last race we want to see Kimi Raikkonen take the checkered flag here, but he's definitely had a brush with the barriers, Martin, and this can often happen in the final race of somebody's career.
So it sounds like he's got a braking issue.
Oh.
So that's because he's going
his brakes
slower
have
than
gone.
you'd imagine. I mean, the front wings.
Have a gander.
Let's see what happens.
So this is down into turn 6.
Oh yeah, them brakes are in the mud. Ooh.
Yeah. It's like pulling the handbrake on. The brake by wire has led him down there somewhere, and the rear axle has locked on him.
Brake by wire system helps the very skinny rear brakes adjust themselves somewhat with some engine braking retardation.
Can we get rips in the chat for Kimi finishing early, prematurely? Nah, that's fucked. Oh, George Russell's dead. George Russell's out. George Russell's out. Yeah, Raikkonen's out. Russell's out.
Lap or two wanted to come in when you're on the replays of the Sergio Perez and Lewis Hamilton.
Kimi, oh really, Sean?
Well. So if George doesn't make it back to the pits and stops out onto the track, that could be a virtual safety car that might help Valtteri Bottas. But Kimi, he's getting a round of applause. They're on their feet in the grandstand, giving him a round of applause to say thank you, Kimi, for everything. We loved you. Such a character, but that's it.
Yeah, thank you, Kimi Raikkonen. You know what you're doing. We will leave you alone now. George Russell limping back to the pits meanwhile, saying on the team radio he's lost drive. It's been a bit of a struggle in this race throughout for George Russell. And this is the moment where his power unit
Yeah, 5th.
Stop delivering the power that he really wanted.
So it's 5th gear, he pulled 2 and it broke. Sad moment.
Yeah, Lewis is 4 seconds up now.
2009, after a couple of years of rallying, said he didn't expect to be back in Formula 1
I'm
at that point.
so glad he did, and we'll all remember the US Grand Prix in 2018 and what a magnificent victory that was for Kimi. What a career it's been. Mark Arnold with him, his personal trainer, who's been by his side throughout. Kimi wearing the replica helmets of his first helmets in Formula 1 from all those years ago when he made his debut with Sauber back in 2001. And it's all come to an end.
And there's Russell.
George Russell as well. Both out of this race. Karun, to you.
Yeah, Kimi's out.
I think Red Bull are starting to think about the second pit stop. They've just asked Max Verstappen for a front wing update, which means, what do you want us to change when you come in the pit? So they wouldn't be asking that if he wasn't going to come in. So I think they've got to roll the dice and do something different. The tricky thing is, Bottas is inside.
Copy.
That's right. So if Mercedes are also looking, I'm sure they're listening to Verstappen's radio. Bottas is in Verstappen's pit window at the moment, so it's a little bit tricky for Max to pit right now. They are going to watch that.
Yeah, Jay, true that.
So would Lewis Hamilton, saying that he's got a long way to go on these tyres, have to cover Max Verstappen if Verstappen pits again?
100% Aquas.
6 seconds at the moment. Verstappen just did a personal best. He's done a personal best first sector.
Verstappen's moving.
I said when he had 4.8, 5 odd seconds, they had enough fat in the system to react 1 lap later. 3.6, a bit of a sticky wheel nut, or what, that's not enough where you'd say, yeah, we'll just pit after Max pits.
And Max Verstappen, as we see his partner Kelly Piquet watching on from the Red Bull garage. Max Verstappen has a new set of hard tyres that they could fit on. They haven't got any new sets of tyres to put on Lewis Hamilton's Mercedes. We're on lap 29.
You wouldn't want to put a new.
58 if you're watching in the UK.
Hamilton's just gone quicker.
On Sky Q or Sky Glass, press your red button if you want to watch the highlights of this race so far alongside the live action. And if Red Bull are thinking of a pit stop, then Verstappen Hamilton might have just been given
about half past, Stephen.
By the team to say, come on, it's hammer time here, Lewis. We could do with a bit of a bigger gap between yourself and Max.
She's now got up to 4, just over 4 seconds, as you can see top left. But
So one more lap again for you,
Hammer time for Valtteri Bottas.
Yeah, you've got fucking Perez sniffing up the rear of Bottas now.
Bottas, who hasn't pitted. Perez running in 4th, has made a stop. Alonso and Gasly still to stop in this race, running 5th and 6th. Sainz ahead of Norris, Leclerc ahead of Tsunoda. That's the top 10. Outside of that, Esteban Ocon starting to up his pace a little bit, but quite a bit.
I'll go to my dad's
points. Daniel Ricciardo running in 12th. Giovinazzi 13th. Vettel, Stroll, Schumacher, Latifi, who's a lap down, and we've lost Kimi Räikkönen for this race, and George Russell, whose Williams' career ends with consecutive DNFs.
Yeah, so 17 runners, so obviously you've got less and less chance of virtual or actual safety cars, or even a red flag, of course, as well. So it becomes a strategy race in that respect, and you're right that Lewis has put the hammer down, and the gap.
It won't slow down that much.
A little bit further out, isn't it? But this is a key time.
Well, Red Bull have a gap to drop.
No, they don't. No, they don't have any new tyres, James.
And he could well come out ahead of Valtteri Bottas, who is yet to stop and actually coming into the pits now. So will this make up Red Bull's mind a little bit? And it looks like it. If Valtteri Bottas coming into the pits, it looks like Verstappen is going to stay out for at least one more lap. So there's a definite gap.
But Bottas has just boxed.
Verstappen into, but is there enough time for Verstappen to make up the difference between 4 seconds and 24 seconds to get Lewis Hamilton by the end?
They didn't look brand new tyres they put on Lewis's car, I didn't think, but we do know that both Red Bulls have got 2 new sets of hard compound tyres available, and they're only allocated 2 for the weekend, so they haven't run them until the race. It seems slightly bizarre, doesn't it? But guess they know enough about their tyres and their cars now. But yeah, it is. So we'll just keep an eye on whether
4 seconds, Gieselman.
They wouldn't have put them on, but they look like they've been slightly run.
Rob G with a cheeky salt, you love to see it.
One new set of hearts for Lewis
Appreciate
Hamilton, 2, as Martin said, for the Red Bulls. Valtteri Bottas had a new set of hard compound tyres. He's chasing after the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc, with Yuki Tsunoda in the background. That was a lock up there from the Ferrari. That's going to get Valtteri Bottas very interested now as they make their way out of the chicane and along the second of the back straights past the support paddock, and Leclerc's weaving around a bit, trying to break the toe and doing a very decent job, but Bottas is still gaining on him into the new banked hairpin. We come at turn 9. Bottas just has to back off a little bit. No room pass for the Finn on that particular occasion, and he sticks down.
15 laps. Gieselman, sorry.
The 4,700 spotlights
I can do that, Ethan.
that surround this wonderful
Oh my God, you've called yourself big
facility here
pifter.
in Abu Dhabi start to take effect. The lights from the hotel as well shining out to add even more colour as round the marina we wind our way and down the main
It's not
straight
bad,
of
actually.
Leclerc, keeping Bottas at bay.
It's not bad.
So 4.6.
It's not bad.
5 seconds now for Hamilton.
Thanks, TJ.
Navigates nearly just
Charlie does sometimes do good thumbnails and doesn't make mistakes.
to lap him. And now you're starting to see a big enough gap where you're a lap later to your rivals.
No.
And even if you're half a second
Looking at the ones I can pretty much see, they're all right.
in terms of your length of pit stop, it shouldn't make too much difference. By the way, Red Bull have made 13 pit stops this season that are quicker than the fastest Mercedes pit stop.
It's got the
Mercedes,
DRS.
the fastest stop of the 2.1 seconds. Here comes Valtteri Bottas.
Not quick
And
enough.
look once again at the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc. Once again, not quite having the pace to get
What's
past
the thing behind you? It's a green screen.
driver. Leclerc with a couple of pole positions this season, but no wins for him or his teammate. Ferrari facing consecutive
yeah,
winless
Bottas
seasons
is going to
for
have
the
him
first
here.
times since 92 and 93. There goes Bottas.
No, he ain't.
Having a look down the inside, but there's no room for the Finn to try and force his way past.
No, slightly
Yeah, it's
more
5
to the
seconds
wiggle
now.
From Charles Leclerc into the new bank turn 9 of the steering wheel, and it somewhat cut off any ambition that Valtteri Bottas had there.
It's a track that offers overtaking opportunities. I was talking to Andreas Seidel, the McLaren team boss. He said this should be stopped tonight.
If we were to stop under safety car, would you prefer medium or hard?
Bottas not good. There's not nice. 2.
So your choice. Keep your options open. Yeah, Seidel saying that we should have overtaking opportunities. I'd like to see a little bit more. It's certainly been better than previous Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. But
There's not many safety cars on this track though because it's quite wide.
To give us the overtaking opportunities we really want to see, and this is on board.
What's that on this track? Are you sure?
This all now. Brilliant view.
Yeah, your head
There's a
moves
fake
around
account on
like that.
Twitch.
Somehow brilliantly your eyes can level that all out as Bottas then in the slipstream with his rear wing open. But then looked nowhere near, is he? Nowhere near enough. But the tail end of that Ferrari has been sliding around in various corners. And Valtteri Bottas will get another helping now then of DRS as Leclerc moves right to try and break the slipstream. And then Bottas surely going to head up the inside, and surely not, because he, for some reason, went around the outside. and then, of course, Leclerc with track position.
Well, yeah, you said it, Martin.
Don't know, yeah, Scott.
Should have got past round the outside. Other drivers might have been a little more brave. Valtteri Bottas deciding against that on that occasion. The previous lap and the previous lap before that. And his pain and suffering continues then. Stuck behind the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc. Out in front, his teammate Lewis Hamilton. 5.5 seconds clear of Max Verstappen. We're on lap 34 of 58. And the championship trophy going Hamilton's way as it stands. Sergio Perez running in third. Red Bull with a double podium, but not enough.
Yeah, doing a good job. Really good job.
But not enough to deny Mercedes an 8th Constructors' Championship in a row. Behind Perez comes Alonso and Gasly. They still haven't come into the pits yet. Ted Kravitz.
That gap between Hamilton and Verstappen is just growing lap by lap. Hamilton is dropping Verstappen at this stage of the race. So there is inherent speed in that Mercedes, and Hamilton is using every bit of it. That race you say between Alonso and Gasly, we're not seeing it because there are other things more important perhaps going on. But it's really tight, Crofty. They're separated by only a second and a half each time round. I don't know which way it's going to go. Gasly's actually recovering well because it looked like Alpine was the faster car here, but Ocon out of the points at the moment in 11th. But Fernando holding on to P4 ahead of Gasly. Pit stops not too far away.
They've both still got a box.
And at the fourth time of asking, Valtteri Bottas gets past Charles Leclerc. And it just seems that he had better traction coming out of the hairpin. And Charles Leclerc, as you mentioned, Martin, his rear end sliding around a little bit in previous laps, just didn't have the grip to brake as late as Bottas either and hold up the Mercedes for very much longer.
Nothing could have gone dead first.
To chase after the car in front.
Oh, is that another dead car? Who's that?
This looks like a car
Gio?
moving slowly, maybe trying to get out of the way.
Another dead car.
Trying to get out of the way, or he's got a problem.
No shifting, no shifting. And they got it.
Maybe a bit of both.
Hydraulic issue then.
For Antonio Giovinazzi, so one
VSC.
teammate in this final race in Formula
That'll be a
1,
VSC,
the
that
other
will.
teammate in his final race for the team and potentially Formula 1 are both retiring from this race. Now, where's he parked, Martin, in terms of could we get a safety car here?
He's parked in a tricky situation. He's a long way from the service road. He could have parked a bit closer to the service road. I see no option but to put out a virtual safety car there. It doesn't look like the sort of place you can just cover with double wave yellows and put marshals out.
Yeah, it's quite far actually.
You can see he's right in the firing line there on the exit of turn 9, which is a very fast corner. So I can't believe they'll cover that in anything other than a virtual safety car, which means then, of course, the leaders will pit.
He is parked in a very handy spot if he wants to go and pop onto a boat, like Kimi Räikkönen did once when he crashed out in
Yeah,
Monaco.
VSC.
There is the virtual safety car, as you said, Martin. Not a very handy.
I'd get Norris to box straight away there.
So, on the exit of turn 9, there is a stranded Alfa Romeo. We now have a virtual safety car, so all the drivers decrease their speed by 40%. No overtaking. The race pretty much gets neutralised, but these cars can pit, and Ted Kravitz, I get the feeling some will be coming in.
So the Ferrari first of all is pitting, and it looks
10 seconds. Lewis Hamilton is staying out.
Thought it would be an easy decision. Even if they're thinking of pitting later on, they're staying out. That's odd. So it is Charles Leclerc. Just waiting to see whether Fernando Alonso. Surely this is a gift for Alonso and Gasly to pit as well. The Alpine mechanics came out to the pit lane. They're just checking their wheel guns, hang around like nothing's happening, like they haven't been told. And now they're not doing anything. McLaren are coming out as well.
Ted, the reason Alonso and Gasly aren't pitting yet is they haven't reached turn 6 yet, but Verstappen's coming in.
They're boxing.
Box and pit confirm, please, Max. Box, pit confirm.
It's a no-brainer, isn't it? It's a cheap pit stop, probably 10 seconds. Put some different tyres on it, and you know, there's his second set of brand new hard compound tyres. It's a no-brainer. They haven't got the pace to win this by catching and passing the Mercedes. So that was do whatever Hamilton doesn't do.
And he can also utilise this bit of track underneath the tunnel, maybe to shave off a little bit more time as well, because the safety car won't line and won't be with him.
Oh, Perez is boxing as well.
Out of that tunnel and back onto the track again. Perez is going to pit too. So Hamilton continues to lead from Verstappen, but Verstappen's now got a brand new set of the hard compound tyre on, and he really can chase after him in a moment.
Michael, please no safety car interferes in the race, please don't.
That's Toto Wolff saying, don't give us a safety car and close the pack up. Especially now Max Verstappen's pitted on and is on fresher tyres. Can he do that sort of thing?
I don't think that's right, trying to influence Michael Massey's got a safety, he's in charge of safety around here. And but I guess what Mercedes were nervous of there is if Hamilton pitted and Verstappen stayed out and kept track position. So it was,
it's the best thing to do.
It was really only ever going to play into Red Bull's hands, because they've kind of lost it at the moment. They've lost both championships at the moment, the way the race was unfolding. But you couldn't send marshals out into the exit of turn 9, 120, 130 mile an hour corner with just double wave yellow flags. You couldn't do it.
Yes,
so the virtual safety car is ending as they are pushing that Alfa Romeo away.
Look out to Verstappen now, 17.9 seconds.
How's
was at 17. Has he not lost 21 seconds?
VSC.
We're going to be in trouble.
So a safety car, a virtual safety car or a safety car reduces your pit stop loss to about 13-14 seconds. Normally it's about 22 seconds. That is how Verstappen has got a cheaper second pit stop.
This is going to be interesting now, this is.
On lap 38 out of 58, it is very much all up for grabs. Because Hamilton is on
well, I'm not going to lie, but I don't think them hards are going to survive. I think they'll... yeah, but they won't be quick.
Going to be between now and the checkered flag, and can he close down the gap between himself and Lewis Hamilton? Game on to the checkered flag. Under 17 seconds, the gap between Hamilton and Verstappen.
Okay, now Alonso's got up to 7.
I mean, that's going to be the way of it towards the end of the race, isn't it, Crofty? But I'm still sort of struggling to think. Would there have been a way, even if Hamilton had come in, at least he would have been on new tyres. Yes, all right, Verstappen might have done the opposite, but Verstappen would have been on old tyres.
Thank goodness, that gap at 17.0 for Verstappen, he will need 8/10 a lap on us to catch. So we just need to keep that in mind.
He might well get it, Crofty.
He's flying.
Exactly what he might
He's
have.
absolutely fucking flying.
This is going to be an intriguing, absorbing, potentially thrilling, maybe controversial end. Who knows? To the Formula 1
He's
season,
absolutely flying.
It is not going to be dull. Stick with this, because that virtual safety car has come out at a very nice time for Red Bull and Max Verstappen.
Ludders, he's flying.
With 1.5 hands on the trophy, is going to have to hang on.
He's got great speed, but remember he said a while ago, I'm not sure these tyres will go to the end. They're 25 laps old already.
And on that last lap, the difference between Hamilton and Verstappen in terms of their lap times.
Tsunoda and Alonso are touching each other.
He's going to need a Michael Schumacher-esque 20 qualifying laps.
Yeah, the potential to lose track position, Lewis, too high.
That's what we were talking about, isn't it? They knew Red Bull would do the opposite, and then of course any kind of issue between the two plays into Red Bull's hands. So they were kind of damned if they did and damned if they didn't. I'm surprised they didn't come in the pits, but that was their call. We don't want to lose track position to Max Verstappen, but I was starting to say they need to be Schumacher-esque qualifying laps now. Banzai, flat out, 20 perfect qualifying laps for Max Verstappen.
Sainz, Norris and Bottas looks like a good race.
There are nerves on the pit wall at Mercedes. There are nerves on the pit wall at Red Bull. Hamilton then ahead of Verstappen. The gap under
No, Alex.
seconds. Perez runs in third place ahead of Sainz and Norris. Bottas in sixth. Tsunoda, Alonso, Gasly and Ocon. This is Fernando Alonso. That's how he got past Pierre Gasly, and that's how Gasly got repassed.
Trying to push me off. I was in front, in the corner braking, so to the pit.
Ooh, oh dear, oh dear.
Speaking as he went down the inside on Pierre Gasly, ran himself off the track and over the curve.
You'll have to give that back.
Does he stay ahead of Pierre Gasly? Well, he's ahead of him on the track at the moment.
Tsunoda, wasn't it? I think.
Oh, is that so?
In that particular instant.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
There we go again. Pulling the downshift like crazy. Right.
Incidents involving Tsunoda.
Another fastest lap for Max.
Investigation necessary. Tsunoda is now back ahead of Alonso, so the stewards consistent in their application of the rules. If you remember back to turn 6 on the first lap, where they decided no investigation necessary, Hamilton and Verstappen.
Oh yeah, it's fine, Alex.
It feels to me as if raw pace alone.
Yeah, copy Lewis, yeah, we should both be on the deck curve though.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say actually. I think absolutely on
Lewis should have pitted, 100%. Mercedes have cost him the win. I actually think it's game over. Verstappen's flying, and they were a brand new set of hards, brand new set.
When he was asked what tyres would you want if we stopped under a safety car, just sounds a little more tense when we hear him on the radio now. 14.8 seconds the gap at the end of lap 40.
Yeah.
And that's what's even more confusing, isn't it? They were talking about if there's a safety car, which tyre should we put on? And they didn't.
It's not Lewis's fault, Aqua.
They said they didn't want to.
This time it's not Lewis's fault, Aqua. This will be the team's fault.
No, but at the same time, the wasn't going to really cost him badly, was it?
It's going to be
anyway, that's what they've decided
both
to do.
2 Red Bulls and the Merc. Top 3, Alex.
Martin, let's go to Karun of Sky Race Control.
Yeah, thank you, Coffee. I've just clarified with Mercedes, he did put on a scrub set of tyres, so good spot there, Martin Brundle.
So the Hamilton's car tyres that they threw on weren't even fresh.
Nearly new when they pitted Lewis. He has got, therefore, a brand new set of hard tyres, which he's now unlikely to use. So they had that option of a new set and elected not to do it.
Becomes Wadge.
Your favourite chocolate, isn't it, in the box, and then somebody throws the box away or something. They're gone. You won't want to be pitting for them now, otherwise the World Championship's gone. So we'll watch these sector times. Interestingly, middle part of the lap, Lewis Hamilton is a tenth faster on these, and he's doing personal best as well. So Hamilton has got good speed, and now it's Ted.
Yes, Ted. Hello, Crofty. Yes, just quick on about Valtteri Bottas. The virtual safety car came too late for him. He'd already pitted. Has emerged behind Lando Norris. Now this is all shaken out and is chasing the young Briton from Somerset very hard. Bottas looking like he's lining up for a move on Lando Norris on much, much fresher tyres.
And there goes Pierre Gasly on Fernando Alonso, and there is Esteban Ocon and Lando and Daniel Ricciardo in the battle for the one remaining points place in this race, which out in front is separated by 14.3 seconds as the AlphaTauri stays ahead of the Alpine going into turn 9 a few races ago. AlphaTauri and Alpine.
How long can he keep doing? How long can he keep that up though? That's the thing.
But a podium for Fernando Alonso.
Yeah, Anarchy is like his tyres won't be able to do that.
In Saudi have rather helped Alpine to pull away in that championship battle. They're in 5th place and fingers are being crossed absolutely everywhere you look at the moment, except in the cockpit of the AlphaTauri. Difficult to drive with the fingers crossed, I would imagine.
His arms crossed now with almost full lock. These guys have got useless steering lock on them, the opposite to a London taxi basically, because the front tyres are so fat you don't get much lock on them.
So, the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix has Lewis Hamilton still out in the lead. 14.8 seconds was the gap a couple of laps ago as the drivers crossed the line. Max Verstappen making his way round the final turn as Lewis Hamilton heads down towards the hairpin. The gap now 14.1 seconds.
Yeah, it's been about 0.3 of a second. We have seen Lewis Hamilton somehow mercurially hang on to a set of tyres that shouldn't be giving as much grip as they do. And that's what he's doing.
Alex, no chance.
Again, but will they hang on? Can he keep pushing that hard? And the tyres hang on. They are the hardest compound, after all, that we got here this weekend.
But they are right slap bang in the middle of that Pirelli range. When we say of the hard tyre, they're not the hardest of hard tyres. In some tracks, they would be the soft tyre, depending on how many fast corners and heavy braking zones we've got on that particular circuit. One thing is for sure, we're on lap 43. This is going right down to the wire with Verstappen chasing Hamilton. And if Verstappen wants more pace when he gets past the Dutch Grand Prix
I know, Scott.
at the end of the back straight, he's going to
That is an issue.
the applause and the roar every time he gets there to try and help him on this charge.
30 lap old tyres.
It's going to go down to the wire and
Hamilton.
Mercedes pit wall at the moment.
They're gonna be like 50, nearly 60 laps old. 55 laps old. Them hards will be.
But Pirelli say this hard tyre will do 50 laps. But we've
No,
seen higher degradation.
so they're 30 laps old now.
All those figures that Pirelli say were based on.
And there's 54.
It can do 50 laps, will it? And at the end of it, will they be very
44.
fast? Well, we're going to find out.
It's like Rockstars could do a 7
I can't. Oh, Bottas about to have a Lando.
We're on board with Valtteri Bottas in for just one moment. Going into turn 9, thought Lando Norris was there for the taking. Norris stays ahead.
It's a long way for Hamilton to go.
Sergio Perez currently running 3rd and round about.
Why is Sergio expecting that?
Race lead.
So, last 5 laps.
No. Outside, yeah.
Then 0.5, then 0.4, and then 0.2 of a second. It seems he's getting, at this stage, every bit as much degradation, as we like to call it, as Lewis Hamilton out front.
On board with Max Verstappen through that banking of turn 9. We make our way now.
Yeah, we've got So 3 for 4 cars ahead who are battling.
Ah,
Markers
that's not good.
might come into play in this race as well. Hamilton being told that those back markers are Fernando Alonso, Esteban Ocon,
Oh dear.
Daniel Ricciardo and Charles Leclerc, and they are scrapping away for points. So it's a bit unfair to call them back markers, but cars that are next in line to be lapped.
Yeah. I guess if you're used to the hybrid era at Mercedes-Benz, they all look like back markers. But I think what
we are.
I'm sure what Bono is explaining there is extra caution.
Oh my, this is going to be interesting.
Place in Detroit once by passing somebody, and whoever they were fighting with didn't realise that I was coming through as well, and that is a bit of a problem. I mean, these are very experienced drivers here. Basically, Lewis.
Hamilton's going to struggle here because these 4 cars are very close.
Royal going on. He's about to hoover up.
Yeah, they're obliged to jump out of the way when the car that's about to lap them is about 1.2 seconds behind, and blue flags will be waved. But depends where you get to these back markers. Sometimes you can breeze past on the straight, other times you might have to stick with it for a few corners before they can finally let you go through. And a right old battle royal this really is, with Esteban Ocon gaining on his teammate Fernando Alonso, with Alonso trying to gain on Pierre Gasly but not really making much progress in that particular scrap. 9/10 of a second Alonso was slower than Gasly. You can see going through turn 1 right now on the previous lap. Right at the back of this battle is Charles Leclerc, and then comes Lewis Hamilton, who can see it all unfolding in front of him.
With a dozen laps to go and nearly 14 seconds advantage, he was told by his engineer he's got to be 8/10 a lap faster than you to catch you. He's nowhere near fast enough in that respect as Max Verstappen at the moment.
And once again, Red Bull are looking for something beyond their control to try and help bring them back into this race. They've had the virtual safety car, which has helped. They had that great
12 laps left.
Perez, which very much helped, but they might need something else to bring Max Verstappen back into this race. You could just see the Red Bull in the distance down that back straight as
Als, what's up, Manchester? Follow.
The chicane.
Or
who's been on the podium
who do you want to win?
times
See, I don't mind because I've got reasons for and against for both drivers, so
give him the season record for the most amount of
I don't even mind.
but it won't give him the world championship as it stands. Lewis Hamilton on course to become champion as one champion watches on.
Josh.
About the other, Oscar Piastri, well done to you. Formula 2 champion for 2021. What a brilliant season that young man has had, and I'm sure we'll see him in Formula 1 eventually.
Who do I think? At the moment, I think it'll be Lewis now.
58. We're on lap 46.
Unless his tyres somehow die.
So the season, Hamilton's coming up to lap 3. He's already lapped 1 in the case of Charles Leclerc, and Verstappen's trying to chase after him, but he's just not finding the pace. Ted Kravitz, down to you.
Well, you mentioned Charles Leclerc. That pitting under the virtual safety car really hasn't worked out well for Charles Leclerc at all. He's rejoined behind Daniel Ricciardo and is in a fight with Ocon and Alonso a bit further up for 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th. So not working out well for Charles Leclerc, but it is working out, staying out, the right thing to do for Carlos Sainz in the sister Ferrari. P4, and looking good for it as well.
Yeah, and doing a great job is also Lando Norris, keeping Valtteri Bottas at bay all the way, despite giving away the drag reduction system, both carrying Mercedes-Benz engines, of course.
And after we heard earlier in the race that he was losing gears and having technical difficulties, Lando Norris in a very solid 5th place at the moment. And for Lando Norris, a 5th place that would give him 5th place in the championship. Charles Leclerc out of the points, the driver currently in 5th in the standings. Norris could move into the top 5, which he deserves for this season. It's been a really, really excellent season for Lando Norris. Could have had a win in Russia, that didn't go his way. Got a pole in Russia, but he has been on the podium 4 times.
He's still stuck behind both of them.
That McLaren charge.
Ignore the dash. Ignore the dash.
At this stage,
Apparently his dash is saying he's only got 8 laps.
Getting that close, any little thing, Martin, is going to be a bit of a distraction.
I wonder if the dash is still set up for the number of laps in the Grand Prix last year. No, seriously.
It's possible.
Yeah, because we're 3 laps longer, aren't we? Because the track's shorter this year. Maybe there's a software glitch in there, something that hasn't been changed.
Well, when you check, double check and triple check everything, as engineers and mechanics going into a race, that might be the one little thing that slips by while you're concentrating on everything else. Good spot if it's true.
So Verstappen just took a second out of the lead there, but it's still a dozen seconds. And Lewis then has cleared 3 of the 4. He's got Alonso coming up next. And Verstappen has cleared both Aston Martins as well. Then, of course, he has to get through Leclerc, Ricciardo, Ocon and Alonso.
Fans, well, I was going to say watching, but at some stages, when you're that closely invested in one way or the other, it's very, very difficult to watch.
11 remaining. Gap to Verstappen 12.3.
How's it going? Down to 12 already.
It's just that lap on traffic, Lewis. He's going to have to get through it too.
Hamilton then making his way through the cars about to be lapped.
Oh, Hamilton's still stuck behind Alonso.
Very soon as well. Christian Horner on that Red Bull pit wall. I don't know if you're struggling to watch this or not, Christian, but if you were tense at the start, it's probably getting even more tense now with 10 laps to go.
Yeah, you know, the pace of the Mercedes is just too strong today, so with Max is driving his heart out there, but we're going to need a miracle in these last 10 laps to turn it around, so he'll give it everything, but you know, the clock's ticking.
Nothing you could do now, I guess. It's Max's right foot. It's all that's left, isn't it? He's gained 2 seconds in the last 2 laps, but as you say, too much to do.
He's got 4 cars to go
Quentin
through.
dropped the cheeky sub.
Some luck from the racing gods, I think, these last 10 laps, but you know, we're going to give it everything as we have done all year, as Max has done all year, and he'll drive his heart out these last 10 laps. You can guarantee that.
Would this been a different race for you?
JC, it's 6 of one, half a dozen the other, and it's what comes around goes around, unfortunately, with that one.
Well, it gives you more options. You have track position, you've got clean air.
Lando's boxing.
So yeah, we're disappointed in that decision, but you know, it is what it is, and we're just getting on with it. And I think, you know, in all honesty, they've just had a quicker car when you look at the pace that they've got on these worn tyres, but still 10 laps to go.
Thanks ever so much, Christian. Lando Norris pits, slow puncture for Lando Norris.
We've done what?
Forced him into the pits.
Sidey?
Well, that just compounds
probably.
What has been a bit of a disappointing night in terms of technical difficulties. He was doing a super job, but he's been relegated now down to 8th. Bottas up into 5th place. Sonoda 6th, Gasly 7th. Ted, down to you.
Oh, Lando Norris. Yeah, it was just if you just see radio.
And we've seen Norris with a front left puncture, so just be careful.
Another puncher.
That's the thing. You see, Lando's problems were sorted from early on. He was just being told on the radio to be careful about deployment, but that's just an energy recovery, a hybrid system, a bit of advice from his engineers. But these curbs, Pirelli were worried about them coming here because they're aggressive, like they're aggressive in Qatar, where we saw some front left punctures. So, has this Grand Prix got a further tyre twist in it, Crompty? Surely not.
Just as Christian Horner was saying, we need a
Well,
miracle to win the
don't
race.
forget, fucking Lewis's tyres are quite old.
Down some of the curbs on Thursday nights, Friday night, I should say, just to make them a little less aggressive. But sadly for Lando Norris, he's got a slow puncture.
So we think the problem curbs maybe just turn 15, turn 16.
So turns 15 and 16, the final 2 corners on the track, taken at about 160 miles an hour, and then
He won't get. Verstappen's going to take forever to try and get through all this traffic.
We saw this in Qatar, didn't we? In terms of tyres not enjoying consistent.
Yeah, he ain't going to gain. It's not enough. It's game. It's
first one to find out.
It's game over.
Unfortunately for him. This is Lando Norris, currently down in 9th place. And down in 9th place because on a fresher set of the medium compound tyre, he's managed to get past Esteban Ocon. Lando Norris, who races all the way to the line, especially here in Abu Dhabi after a few seasons ago.
I think this is it now.
Last lap in
Hamilton's won this.
Grand Prix debut season. Came home to finish in 8th place. Still racing to the line now.
Too good, James.
Service resumed now then for Lewis Hamilton, straight back into the 126s. Now he's cleared the traffic, and now that Norris is pitted, that means there are 5 cars for Verstappen to get through in that DRS train, as we call it.
Yeah, Verstappen though will get DRS to help him lap those cars, and that might just help him shave off a couple of seconds here or there, but he needs more than that. As it stands, 394
live timing
for Lewis Hamilton He will
Yeah.
become world champion. Max Verstappen.
I didn't. You should have helped me out with me. I didn't really think of it.
Won't be enough to give him that dream of a first ever Formula One World Championship. We've said it all season long, Martin, and especially this weekend, though. Whoever is champion, both drivers have put in a champion performance all season long.
Without doubt. If you look back, there's all those little tormenting moments, aren't there? Your Max got wiped out and he went back to
That's where you can.
playing billiards in Hungary and the tyrant Baku. And Lewis, you know, went up in Baku then and lost some points, and just all those little twists and turns that we can look back and that would have made the difference. But you win a championship over a season, not over.
Oh, Kimi Räikkönen 40%.
Leclerc gets out of the way and lets Max Verstappen through. But at the end of the day, Mercedes and Hamilton came on so strongly at the end of the season, as they have done again tonight. And Lewis's pace, with tyres that have been on since lap 14, is really quite sensational.
Yeah.
And just
But he's losing time now.
Talk more Mercedes in a moment. Verstappen, when he goes
Second.
to wherever he goes to lie down and relax at the end of this season, will he think back to Silverstone? Will he think that if I'd have just given up the fight that day to win the overall battle, I'd be world champion now? Or will that not enter his mind?
I've asked him that a couple of times on camera and he's like, no, I would. In fact, he actually rejoined on that when I asked him that in Brazil. So, no, I'd do the same thing again. My feeling is, I don't know why you do the same thing again, because he had a 33-point lead that morning and ended up, sadly for Max, in hospital that day.
Lando Norris on and up to 8th place after a late pit stop caused by that slow puncher. He's charging through the field. His teammate Ricciardo moves out of the way of Max Verstappen, then quickly gets back onto the racing line.
I don't know, because
Leclerc at bay, but both Ricciardo and Leclerc out of the points at the moment. Mercedes on course to be constructors champions for a 8th record-breaking 8th consecutive time, and in a season where the regulations change ever so slightly, but at their detriment.
Oh yeah, you need to time some people out.
It's once again a great recovery, because they felt they've been hampered coming into this season by those slight regulation changes.
Well, that feels like a long time ago, doesn't it? But yes, Mercedes had an awful pre-season test, didn't they? We thought they would be in terrible trouble come the first race.
Oh no!
Oh, Latifi.
Has crashed, and
yeah, that's a safety car. 100%.
We saw Kimi Räikkönen.
That's it.
In practice, it is at turn 14, and yes, that will be a safety car, because marshals are going to need to recover that Williams and to work on it, and this now completely changes the context of this race.
Oh,
if they can clear the
mad.
Williams in time, and we can have a couple of
mad,
racing
mad,
with the checkered flag.
mad.
There's bound to be a couple, and of course that's where Max Verstappen's much fresher tyres will fire up and give him the confidence on any kind of restart. It depends on there will be, I'm pretty sure on lap 52, obviously because of the slow pace with 5 to go, that they'll probably have a lap or two, as long as they get a vehicle on there and get that out of the way.
Who's boxed?
Into the pits, Max Verstappen.
Verstappen's pitting. Oh, he's going on softs.
Coming into the pits, and I would imagine there's a set of soft tyres waiting.
He hasn't. He's not pit.
To go onto that Red Bull car. Yes, it is.
Negative.
He's not. Mercedes told him not to.
Now has fresh soft tyres. Lewis has heavily used hard compound tyres. They will let any lap runners through on the safety car restart, and he will presumably end up. Well, they had nothing to lose. Once again, Red Bull had nothing to lose there.
They have nothing to lose. Hamilton is a long way clear, as Perez also pits, as we can see. There's quite a few coming into the pits. Hamilton's a long way clear on the track, but I rather get the feeling by the time he comes around to the main straight, he's not going to be able to pit and stay ahead of Max Verstappen. That chance wasn't there, or has gone by for Mercedes.
Verstappen tucked up behind Sebastian Vettel in the Aston Martin there.
But he won't be on the restart. So look, we're on lap 54.
It doesn't mean the safety car will be in before the end of the race.
And the fire extinguishers have obviously gone off because the brakes, I'm sure, were getting very, very hot. but they've also got to let the laps cars unlap themselves.
No, they won't.
In my mind, I wonder if we're going to get any racing laps in this race.
No, they won't.
This is what
Why would they red flag it?
Nicholas Latifi, he was scrapping away with Mick Schumacher.
That's not the corner it crashed on, is it?
That was earlier on, I think, in the skirmish with Schumacher. They barged wheels, went off the track, would have picked up
last
a
place.
bit of dust and debris on his tyres, and then the rear just.
Oh, he's just gone.
Probably dirty tyres.
What's
from
that?
Being offline there. Will they get any more racing laps or not? What jeopardy at the end of this Grand Prix, the end of this World Championship? Will there be any more racing laps? If there are, then Verstappen has got the tyres to really do something with them. Will they let the lap runners through?
Well, they always do let the lap runners through, and in between Hamilton and Verstappen, Norris, Alonso, Ocon, Leclerc and Vettel.
Yes, but if they do that, it extends the safety car period.
Yeah, it may not restart.
That's what they always do. Take the lap runners out of the way.
It may not
so
restart.
interfering in play.
What's the situation behind
So the situation is, Verstappen has pitted. He had a free pit stop. We would have lost track position to him. 4 laps remaining, or when you cross the line. So this field has to bunch, and then they have to send lap cars through. So it may not restart.
Is he right behind me?
He will be. Once they've sorted out all the order, this is going to take a while to sort out.
It might be
With new tyres.
Copy Lewis, we would have lost track position if we had pitted.
And that was the big key here. Mercedes, for the second time, keeping Lewis Hamilton out, whilst Max Verstappen pitted. Red Bull had nothing to lose.
I don't think they're going to restart it. I don't think they're going to restart it.
And in this case, if we don't go racing again because you can't overtake under the safety car, he would have lost the World Championship.
Is there a vehicle pulling the Williams out of the way or not yet?
Can't see it at the moment. Ted, down to you.
Have a load of other people pitting. Yuki Tsunoda, Pierre Gasly, Daniel Ricciardo. We've had Lance Stroll as well into the pits. I'll give you those orders as they shake out. But yeah, it was just bad luck. I mean, you saw the Mercedes mechanics just hanging around outside the pits looking at whether they had the order to come in. But Hamilton was so close to the pit entrance that it does seem that the engineer's right there. Whatever they would have done, they would have lost track position.
So good right now, and if that's
The safety car's not going full gas.
I know, bro.
Copy Lewis, understood.
His tyres are cooling. He needs more pace, more heat into those tyres.
This is awful for Lewis then with those hard compound heavily used tyres. So there's the shunt then. Of course, the there has to be a safety car there. And but will they let the lap runners through? I don't think it's absolutely mandatory, but that's normally on a wet day that they don't. And if so, how long will they wait for those lap cars to get out of the way? If they wait for them to catch the pack up, which they don't have to do, then I don't think we'll get a racing lap. If they
someone needs to time out.
We could get one racing lap.
3 laps to go. Nicholas Latifi is seemingly okay after that contact with Sebastian Vettel.
None of which are for position, of course.
No.
They're obliged to get out of the way, but Lewis will be long down the road.
That I suppose is the compromise that race control have made here by giving the best possible chance for race
2 laps, James.
rather than finishing behind the safety car. And they've decided the lap cars will stay where they are.
Cancel that. Lap cars will not be allowed to overtake.
Yeah, of course. Typical decision.
It's classic.
I'm not surprised.
Well, look, I'll try and look at this objectively. We should get 1 lap of racing here. If we did
Are they not boxing?
Lap cars to overtake, we'd have no laps of racing to the checkered flag. So what do Red Bull want? And Max Verstappen and Jean-Pierre Lamberti.
I thought the safety car would have come in this lap.
Finish behind the safety car with no overtaking, because I think that is the decision that has come from race control.
Yeah.
And personally, this is the decision that gives them the best chance if they want it.
Yeah, I mean the regulation, as I said, they may allow the lap cars through. It's not mandatory, as I pointed out, but as you point out, Crofty, there'd be no racing laps if they let the lap cars through, because I think the safety car will come in at the end of this lap, and there will be 1 racing lap.
It's game over. He's got no chance. I don't know.
Christian and Michael
Yes, go ahead, Christian.
Yeah, but why aren't we getting these lap cars out of the way?
Just give me, well, because Christian, just give me a second. Okay, my main big one is to get this incident clear.
You only need one racing lap.
Well, I assume Christian's talking about then, getting the lap cars out of the way, not clearing the incidents away.
Yeah, I mean, all of the cars in front of Max will get blue flags and are duty bound to get out of the way, but they're all in a reasonable fight themselves, aren't they?
Well, so here we go. Normally, you'd see the race leader backing up the pack a little bit when the safety car goes. I would imagine on this occasion, if we do get a lap, Martin, Hamilton will want to be disappearing off into the distance as fast as he can.
Yeah, I don't see any way Verstappen can do anything with that, but indeed, is the safety car coming in this lap? We think it should do, could do.
Coulda, shoulda, woulda, but you didn't. Well, should be.
Oh,
he's let.
to overtake the safety car. So Norris and Alonso and Ocon and Leclerc.
Oh my God!
And it's ending. Wow.
So there's confusion, but the safety car.
Oh my God! Nah. What have I seen?
Mark is allowed to overtake the safety car.
Oh, it's game over.
Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen.
Mikey, this isn't right.
It has left Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen side
Oh.
by side. Hamilton will be ahead. Verstappen is absolutely desperate to get on with this on that soft compound tyre. We're going to have one lap of racing to decide the championship in 2021. Hamilton has the advantage. Verstappen has the faster, fresher tyres. And we have got 3.2 miles.
It's game over.
All the way to the checkered
Here we go.
as the crowd roar the drivers on to the final lap of this race, and Verstappen sets after Hamilton. Is it going to be a first world championship for Verstappen? Is it going to be an 8th world championship for Lewis Hamilton? Where can Verstappen try and get past Hamilton? First overtaking zone.
Massively screwed.
Down into turn 5 is Verstappen.
He's not gonna.
He's going to make the lunge down.
He shouldn't have done it there.
Hamilton sees it.
It's easy.
It's a
Easy. Oh my God!
Verstappen now snatches the championship trophy from Lewis Hamilton, who's trying to fight back.
No DRS for 2 laps, so Lewis Hamilton will not get the rear wing open. Now he's going to go down the outside. If Verstappen keeps it tight and neat, but he hasn't, he's gone a little bit wide.
This race that started with controversy is ending with controversy.
No, Mikey, that was so not right.
Here comes Lewis Hamilton though, down the back straight. He's got a slipstream. He almost touches Verstappen. They almost make contact into turn 9. Verstappen stays ahead of Lewis Hamilton. Of all the drama, of all the controversy, of all the magic moments in Formula 1 in 2021, it comes down to this. And in this moment, it looks like it's going to go the way of Max Verstappen. Mercedes not happy. Red Bull will be delighted. They have shared a brilliant championship battle, but the championship can only be won by one, and it's going Dutch in 2021. Max Verstappen, for the first time ever, is champion of the world. Lewis Hamilton finishes in second place. The leading for so long, but these last moments are going to
What have I just seen?
and this might not be the end of the matter.
What have I just seen?
Mercedes are furious as much as the Dutch fans
What have I just seen?
think it's fabulous.
What have I just seen? I'm sorry, but Mercedes has cost Hamilton the championship, in my opinion.
There's going to be so much acrimony
What?
going forward.
Why? No, Cambo. 90. Like, I've never seen a rule where they've said not to let the pass to overtake. That was the first time I've ever heard of it, and then they changed the rule.
But to release the lap cars and end the safety car and give us one racing lap. Wow, how quickly did that turn around? What was Christian Horner saying to us? The racing gods need to shine down on us. They certainly did.
We need a miracle, said Christian Horner. The miracle arrived.
Oh.
Nicholas Latifi crashed. The safety car came out. The lapped cars were allowed to get out of
Lewis should have pitted.
Verstappen pitted.
Lewis should have boxed.
And in the course of one racing lap, took the lead and kept it.
Max Verstappen, you are the world champion! The world champion!
Mate, you absolutely deserve it. You absolutely deserve it. You have no luck. Not the rub of the grip.
Recharge on, please. Recharge on. Max, we are so proud of you.
Oh my God, guys. I love you so much.
Well, that's it, Sparks. Mercedes had we're in the mud.
We needed a bit of luck. You got it. You made it happen. And we love you. We absolutely
That's
love you.
mad.
I think a bit of luck, lifetime supply of luck, might just have come Red Bull and Max Verstappen's way. Ted Kravitz down in the pit lane. Well, emotion after emotion after emotion.
It's pandemonium. Christian Horner is crying his eyes out. Jos Verstappen is already wearing a Max Verstappen World Champion t-shirt. And at the Mercedes garage, they are shell-shocked. Toto Wolff has just dropped his head. Can't believe it. He's talking to Susie Wolff, his wife. They're all asking each other what is going on. They're shaking their heads. They are in disbelief.
This is unbelievable, guys. Can we do this for another 10, 50 years together? Wait, honestly.
Mate, as soon as I saw that we're gonna do that,
Hands with anyone he can find. He's getting a handshake, but it's not very warm. Mercedes absolutely have no idea what has just gone on. They are befuddled, the most befuddlement you can ever see. Whereas it is all going off. That is a release of emotion and a release of pressure. They can't believe. Is it luck? Is it judgment? Is it the getting the rub of the green? But they are absolutely shell-shocked at Mercedes, and they are in pieces, in tears of joy at Red Bull Racing.
Remember in 1989,
I thought he'd won it,
went to Anfield needing a
and
2-0
that
win
safety car
to win
turned
the
everything
title.
around.
Stoppage time, Michael Thomas burst through on goal, and it was all up for grabs now. But it wasn't Michael Thomas tonight. It might have been Michael Massey, but it was definitely Max Verstappen who burst through to take that win. And I might need to sit down for quite a while here, Martin Brundle, to just try and compute what has happened in the last 5 minutes. And he might need to sit down for the whole winter, because I'm not sure it's going to sink in.
All right,
for a
Alex.
while.
What happened is Red Bull played a smart hand using the safety car facilities, and then they ended up on far better tyres, and Max lunged beautifully into turn 5, managed to hang on through the rest of it. No DRS available for 2 laps after.
Mike, you're I don't know.
I'm just speechless, Lewis. Absolutely speechless.
Bono is speechless. I'm not sure if Lewis Hamilton is talking to him or not. For a moment, and a brief moment, Hamilton felt that the crown was coming his way. Mercedes thought that the double world championship was...
Do you know what that reminds me of? Do you remember, was it the first world championship Hamilton won with Glock?
But in live sport,
That's what that just reminded me of a bit there.
you never leave before the end, because
That's, oh, so much stuff is going to...
It did tonight. Mercedes are constructors' champions for a record-breaking 8th consecutive time, but it is not the double championship
Mad.
they so wanted. Verstappen
Unbelievable.
Hamilton to the drivers' championship.
Unbelievable.
Doesn't he? And British and German champions in Formula One, not since Kimi Raikkonen in 2007 have we had a non-Brit or German champion. There's Christian Horner to embrace his man in Parc Ferme, and everyone wants to join in the celebrations except those in the Mercedes garage.
And Carlos Sainz finished 3rd, but Ferrari is also on the podium. Yuki Tsunoda 4th, so 4th and 5th for AlphaTauri. Wow.
Yeah. Perez pitted, retired from the race. Sainz said, thank you, I'll have a podium. Down to you, Ted.
Mad.
Just asking around. I mean, the feeling at Mercedes seems to be, well, hang on. There seems to be an abuse of the rules here. The rules have not been followed. Why were only 5 cars allowed to unlap themselves?
Oh, that's what they're on about.
That's the point, isn't it? So Mercedes think, well, hang on, the process was not followed here. It was not followed properly the way it always has been under safety cars with lap.
Ah, okay, now I get what that's okay. Oh, there's a lot of shit is going to hit the fan.
And they feel that's what's not fair.
All I can assume is that Michael Massey, the race director, wanted to give this race every chance to end as a race. Not behind the safety car. We've had races end behind the safety car before. We've had championships won behind the safety car before. But he wanted to ensure that we got at least one lap of racing.
There's going to be, oh, there will be 100% accurate, 100%. Right, guys, I'm going to finish the stream now because I'm going to get off to my dad's, which is crackers. Absolutely crazy. I mean, I'll get to listen to what's going on after, but thanks everyone for watching the stream, guys. I would say congratulations to Max, but there might be some, I don't know. I'll see you guys later on. Take it easy, obviously. Peace.
Will have a lot to say and celebrate. Sergio Perez, who did such a sterling job for his teammate tonight, is down there to join in the celebration. Sebastian Vettel, who shared some great rivalry with Lewis Hamilton over the years, comes over, as does Mick Schumacher, to say sorry that it worked out the way it did for you. Max Verstappen is the 2021 World Championship on the track, and Lando Norris has smiles for him. Now the dream is realised. He said it early on, I want to be world champion, and it's happened for him, but honestly, it had to happen in circumstances like this.